United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The agenda was posted throughout the district according to school board policy, published as a legal ad in the Superior Telegram, posted on the district webpage and sent to the WNXR radio station for announcement. A meeting notice was sent to the connection for publication as well. First item is approval of the December 12, 2022 agenda.
We have a couple other items under communications. You have one that you're going to.
I will,
mention?
yes.
And I have an announcement about the Christmas program for elementary switch.
Okay, so we have a few additional announcements that will make under communications.
That's correct.
Okay, motion to approve agenda.
Do we have a second? Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Consent agenda, November 14th, 2022, regular board meeting, open, both open and executive sessions. Do I have a motion to approve?
Take the whole thing. Yeah, we take off the open session.
Oh, yes, that's
Okay.
right. I'm off
Yeah.
my game. I was just testing you. Okay, Mr. Landwehr, can you give us the treasurer's report, please?
So,
A summary of the treasurer's report as of November 30, 2022, general fund. General account on November 30, 2022, there was a balance of $1,964,847.12 in cash and investments. Receipts since the 1st of December and not included in the November 30 balance are $1,964,127.33. And the disbursements from tonight's December 12th board meeting total $72,137.14. The flexible spending account on November 30, 2022, there was a balance of $23,691.39 in cash and investments. The health reimbursement account on November 30, 2022, there was a balance of $5,277.59 in cash and investments. The debt service fund on November 30, 2022, there was a balance of $673.39 in cash and investments, and a more detailed report on fund activity is included for your review in the financial statements.
Thank you, Mr. Landwehr. Your payment invoices is included in your packet, so we'll move right into resignations and employment.
Yes, we only have one person added in, and Ivy Hellenius as a teacher's assistant in Tiger's Den under new employment.
Okay.
No resignation.
Thank you. All right, now I need a motion for the consent agenda.
so move.
Second.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have a report on the Wisconsin State Report Cards for the district in schools 21-22. Brad Larrabee, District Assessment Coordinator.
While our audio visual is actually warming up, for those that are at home, also for our board, just a little bit of background. There is some changes with the requirements from the Department of Public Instruction and by state statute for reporting. So I'm actually going to walk the board through what some of those requirements are, which kind of double dips on my end because I also in the past, Rena did, or I have given a report on how we've done as a district. So tonight I'm going to kind of do both things. I'll show you how we can access it for people at home as well, or if they're watching later on YouTube. And I'm going to kind of walk you through, show you our scores, and then I'll also give you an opportunity to ask any questions because I did provide the board with a breakdown for our Heart of the North Conference, local schools as well. And if anybody in the community would like that, I can provide that as well. Well, this is up, so on our webpage, if you go to the district's webpage and scroll to the district tab, you'll notice that there's a Wisconsin DPI school report cards link on the tab. So if you access that, it will give you, if we're switching, there we go. It'll give you a little bit of description of our district. That is something that we've been able to add to our state report cards. So this narrative that's at the top is something that's on our district report card. And then if you scroll down you'll find the score, overall score, and then the distribution breakdown. For board members, you may remember last year I talked about there's kind of a formula that goes into how the state comes up with our performance. And so if you're a large enough school, for our district, we have an achievement score. There's a percentage for achievement and growth that is weighted by what our socioeconomic status is. And so that is kind of a calculation that's different for each state, or each district in the state. And then the bottom part being the target group outcomes and the on track to graduation, that is a fixed score for a district at 25% of the total score. So there's some things that are consistent amongst district to district, and some that will be different based on how many kids are identified as free reduced lunch census. So as a district, you'll see that we exceed expectations again this year. So as in the past, they give an overall score, and we can compare that to districts around us. And then they give us a rating that is based on whether we meet expectations or exceed expectations, or the other. So as I go down, I'll go by kind of age of our students. You can see the high school meets our expectations. Our middle school exceeds expectations, NES exceeds expectations, and Iron River Elementary School exceeds expectations. And then you'll notice as I went through these numbers on top change, that is based on the building level. So the middle school's formula is different than the elementary, and you'll notice Iron River, because of smaller population, it does not have the it's a target group outcomes, which is what the state does is they look at the kids that perform the lowest, and then they track them across multiple groups. But because Iron River does not have enough kids, they don't have that calculation. So I always like to point that out just because there's some differences amongst our buildings. Underneath that, one of the requirements of the state is that we report out what our educational opportunities are. I'm not going to read all of them, but in my own opinion, that is a great thing for our district. When other families move in, if they're looking at our school, we have a very nice listing of the additional things we do within our schools for our families and what they can also expect of us from a district standpoint. And then the very last piece, if anybody does want to really look into the report cards, we are required to provide access to them. So there's two places that the community can go, or anybody in the district can. The first one is the state site. So if you click on this link, you can actually go in and you can look at any report card for any school district in the state of Wisconsin. So it's a nice way, like I said, for people that maybe like to look at data comparisons, see how the districts are doing, or people moving into the area, they want to find the best schools. They can look here and see, well, how does Maple do compared to Superior, compared to South Shore or Solon, our neighboring districts. So that is one nice feature that the state provides us with, but we are also required, if you click on where it says click on this link, it gives you a direct link to our report cards. So community members, staff, board members, you can go directly here, and this will give you a detailed report that would show you how many students are enrolled, it will show you how we do by each building, a little bit more about the demographics and things like that. So, like I had said at the beginning, there's a few changes that the state expects us to make. I think it's transparency. So hopefully our community can go and look at the great things that we're doing with it, because again, as you can see, we continue to exceed expectations from the state, and we're still at other districts. Dr. Cummings, we had 5 minutes.
I'm impressed.
So now it's off my time. So board members have
Now question.
any questions?
Is it based on the 21-22 statistics?
Yeah, so it's always the year behind, so I'll speak to the elementary level. So in the spring of 2022, NES and Wisconsin forward exam. So it takes the state time to kind of grade all of that, and then the Department of Public Instruction analyzes it, puts it into their mega computer, and spits all their score for the following year. So it's always a year behind the test performances. A little asterisk on that. I mentioned about the target group outcomes and the growth measure. So both of those are across time. So we look at multiple years. So if I speak to like the ACT, for example, I'll look at 3 years ago, or the Wisconsin forward exam. I'll look at how the kids do when they were 3rd grade, 4th grade, and 5th grade before they went up to middle school. So they can measure how kids are growing. And then that target group outcomes is the state will look at those kids that maybe are underperforming and performing at the bottom, and they look at, well, how much did those kids compare to kids in other districts that may have some similar demographics, and how much did they grow? So we're trying to make sure their division grow, which I talked about response to intervention, how we're addressing each need of students. Other questions?
Well done, people, teachers, and students.
Yeah.
If I can put a little plug in for our staff, coming off of a global pandemic, we continue to exceed expectations. Our teachers worked very hard during that time, and we're still seeing our kids are at the top of the state, so that says a lot about our staff. Your families.
Thank you.
Anybody?
Good information.
Good job.
Thank you, Grant.
You're very welcome. It's easier to report on good things.
Yeah, it's always nice too. All right, we have a request from Peter Lawton and Nick Olson, Northwestern Middle School advisors and student council reps to plan and attend an experience day on Friday, February 17th, 2023.
It's not too bad, I promise. Right in front of us. Yeah, there you go.
Good evening, my name is Hannah Peterson, Northwestern Middle School Council President, and this is Cheyenne John, Student Council Vice President. We are here representing the Northwestern Middle School Student Council.
We are come to ask for the scope of approval of the Northwestern Middle School Experience Day All Out School Activity, which will take place on February 17th, 2023. Experience Day is a fun day where 6th, 7th, and 8th graders get a chance to try new exciting things with their fellow classmates and teachers. This year's choices include skiing or snowboarding as sport content, ice fishing and iron river, adventure zone, bowling and roller skating, and chocolate cotton center. We feel that the students will enjoy these activities.
We will explain how the activities work. First, there is Spirit Mountain, which is an all-day event where you can go snowboard or downhill ski. Then there is a day of swimming in the museum space, with lunch at the Phoenix Aquatic Center. Students can go ice fishing and iron river all day. Students that choose this option will have a whole day to go ice fishing and eat snacks from the snack store.
Adventure Zone booth has opened the doors for us. Students will be active playing laser tag, being a cage, and playing miniature golf most of the day. We have also added a day of bowling at Impact Station and roller skating at Rover Fields. All these activities are very fun and we know students will enjoy themselves no matter which one they pick.
This year's price will be from $10 to $25 depending on the activity the student selects. If the student can't pay, no worries, as agreements are made with the student council. It is important that all students can attend and enjoy socializing with their friends.
We are kindly asking that the district again helps us with the bus transportation costs that range from $2,200 to $2,500.
We as Northwestern Middle School Student Council representatives strongly believe that this is a great opportunity to help our local businesses and show them the first-class behavior that our student body displays in and out of the classroom. We appreciate the student board's approval of this project. Thank you.
Come and do your concert today.
I have a question. Are your teachers gonna make you come back and report on what you learned that day? I'm only kind of teasing. I'm pretty sure.
Is, this might be a question for you, is there a snow day? Or if it snows and school doesn't happen on that day, is there an alternative day or is it just a one and done?
Great question.
Thank you. I've had experience in this.
We haven't in the past, but based on, I guess, the winter and what's happening now, I guess that's a good idea. I'm now.
Like I said,
Would you like us to come back and discuss that with you if that was the case? Yeah,
I don't,
but no, I guess we've never really, because it's so far late in usually February that we usually don't run into the issue.
I guess I know I've had 3 kids that went through that, I think, that have really enjoyed it, and there were times where I think COVID was part of one of them and something else was part of another, and they missed it, and it was it was a bummer when they did.
Ice fishing, we canceled ice fishing a couple times due to the ice not being safe. And then give kids the opportunity to go anywhere they wanted and after that. So I guess that's when we had canceled, but, yeah, great idea. Do that. Thank you.
just, I guess I'm just trying to make sure that the kids do have the opportunity.
Anybody have any other questions?
I have a question. Does the student council decide which places to go, or they pretty much go where they went last year? Or?
Well, we discussed it.
Okay. You're satisfied with what they've been doing?
If I remember correctly, that's what we had in middle school, so.
Well, if there are no other questions, I'll make a motion that we approve this.
I have a motion.
A second.
I have a second. All those in favor say aye.
I
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Have fun. Okay, we have a request from Darren Nykus, FFA advisor, to attend along with 2 students the 2023 Halftime Leadership Conference in Stevens Point on January 13th to the 14th, 2023.
Unfortunately, you're stuck with just me because my 2 students that are planning on going are doing some prior engagements between club volleyball and the concert tonight.
Everybody's busy.
Everyone's
Yeah,
busy,
we
so they gave me
understand.
some pointers on what to say. So bear with me here. So the halftime conference for FFA is January 13th and 14th. This is one of the conferences that the state FFA limits to just 2 students per chapter that can go. Traditionally, for us, we've always sent our president and our vice president. And again, that's what our plan is here for this year. So Brinley Tong, who is our student president, and Sheila Gregerson, who is our student vice president, are planning on going with your permission here. So halftime conference, it's a leadership conference. It focuses on growing leaders and building the FFA chapter. The idea there is we've now got all these new student memberships here in the fall, and then keep them motivated through the spring year when our competitions are. It helps build that continuation with it. And so the state officers, the 10 of them, put on this conference and then have 2 students from each of the FFA chapters down in Stevens Point for about 1 o'clock on that Friday, and then carries into about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturday. So we'd be asking about leaving about 8 o'clock in order to get to down there and get some lunch before conference starts on that Friday, and then coming back here in the late Saturday evening. At this point, we're not asking for any funds, we're just asking for the permission to go, that the cost of it would be covered through our activity account. Any questions?
Will you take the Camry then?
Probably. Yeah, I guess at this
Just
point,
smoother ride than the
specifically
van.
ask what vehicle, but with only 3 of us, I would expect the Camry.
This is January 13th through 15th.
Should be the 14th.
Just
This is
This is 14.
Mine says 13, 15.
Oh, different paper.
look at a different piece of paper.
Look at your other paper. Well, I'm looking at the agenda.
Anybody have any other questions?
I do.
Go ahead.
Previous years, when you made this request, there was 2 events, 2 conferences, I believe, wasn't there?
No, so that's a different leadership conference. So that one is usually earlier in the fall. This year, because of some prior engagements that I had and some other things, we didn't have to go down.
Okay.
No. This one, they do limit it just to 2 people per chapter.
Right.
Make a motion to approve?
I have a motion.
Second.
I have 2 seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank
Good
you.
luck and have fun. Okay, next we have the Fab Lab. The Fab Lab grant application / Board of Education letter of support.
Right. And again, Mr. Charlier would be active with this. The grant amount is $25,000. The extra funds that would be matching that would be $12,500. And we have different avenues in order to try to reach that. But having the board support for that and knowledge is important because this is going to be for our elementary children. And there's a way of being equitable for the Iron River elementary children as well. And it's further efforts towards STEM, science, technology, engineering, math. The high school students assist the teachers and students with how to use the equipment that would be purchased out of the grant. But there would be no district funds going towards this. It would be through the volunteer efforts of other companies. But the NESPTA is instrumental with this, but of course it's a direct utilization of those elementary kids as well.
So if you're not able to get the matching amount, would you come back to the?
No, we'll not come back to the board. We do not have funds in the district at this time to be able to come back to the board.
I think this is a great, it's another step.
It is.
The department, the engineering things last year, and this going down to the lower levels, I think it's just awesome. Appreciate Mr. Charlier, I think I said that.
Yep.
Mr. Charlier's work.
And Mr. Nolt.
Mr. Nolt, I've heard that he is doing an excellent job too.
And you will be using your students then to help assist the teachers?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, and that's part of the program we're looking at is having similar equipment to our Fab Lab at the elementary schools for to enhance their STEM curriculum. And then, of course, with that, there goes some training with the equipment and whatnot. We have students here who are capable of maybe going down and actually working with elementary kids with that equipment.
Where's the space?
We're looking at portable equipment at this point, so it'd be housed in the library likely, and then
Okay.
could be, and there's even that, well, we've been to Northwestern and look at the space, and there's even a presentation here.
So we'd be able to, hopefully with it being mobile, if you will, or much more, I guess, smaller versions of what high school has, we'd be able to have it in classrooms as our teachers progress through units, so it could be used in third grade, and go to fourth grade, and then the fifth grade, maybe some different levels of learning, and then a presentation area like the pit at NES would be wonderful. At Iron River, we're fortunate to have a huge, beautiful computer lab, and also has the attached library, so we have two very good spaces there.
I don't want the community to think that the board hasn't already been supportive, because they have. Extra 5,000 above the cost of the house would have, then when the house sells, that monies go to the Tiger Manufacturing as well. And then, let's see, there was another house project. And then seeking funds from other multiple businesses from the advisory council to, getting some funds.
So do you have to show that you've got the 12,500 before you
Yes.
apply to the grant?
I think you do, because
They have to have committed
Yeah.
letters of commitment as to where the remaining
Yeah.
funds would come. So it's $12,500 matching for a $25,000 grant, so $37,500.
Is there a deadline for the
first come,
grant
first
has to
served.
be-
It's, at this point, my understanding is that it's, get it in.
So the math that you just said, if you come up with 12,500, the grant is for $25,000?
One-third, two-thirds. And in the past, when we had this grant before, it was a 50/50 grant.
Right, we had to come up.
But I guess that's how, unless the enhancement reflects something different. It says the Fab Lab grant requires a matching component of 50% of the awarded amount to secure $25,000.
Right. So 50%, the awarded amount would be 25,000, 12,500.
Otherwise, it would have been 100%. Yeah, okay, I got it. My math is tough. Round numbers are hard.
Any other questions? Otherwise, if not, I need a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have a report and recommendations from the December 12th, 2022 Curriculum Committee meeting, which I'll just make a note of, is on that committee, Mrs. Sari, Mrs. Olson, and Mr. Glonick, correct? I just wanted to put that out there because I know my name got on there at one point, so.
Oh.
It was somewhere I saw my name in there.
Your name's on everything.
I'm not on that
Yeah.
committee, so I
Yeah.
was not here for it, so who wants to speak out on that?
Okay, this is for the physical education requirement option, and it was dated back from 2011, Wisconsin Act 105, or the PE credit for being in sports. The curriculum committee was here. We listened to a number of the Mr. Smith and Mr. Carlson and Rena Kroll, yeah, sorry. And listened to what discussions were brought up about that. And there's a lot of more research that needs to be done. And the value of having a Phi-Ed class, and there are different things that we were listening to, and a lot more research and digging into finding out. A typical PE courses are usually 84 minutes for 9 months, or 45 days.
9 weeks.
Or 9 weeks, I mean, in 40 or 45 days. So there's a number of different factors that we discussed and listening to this, and it was a consensus of the curriculum committee to opt out of not checking this any further.
Okay, so I would need a motion then and a second. And I guess,
Can't be from my committee,
yeah, and the motion would be in regards to, we stated it just as that, opting out of,
not looking to any
Considering-
options for the Act 1.
Can we discuss before we make a motion, or do we have to
Usually
wait?
you do motion and second, and then you
Mhm.
discuss all you want to discuss.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the board does it the opposite way, and both really are legal.
Mm-hmm.
so I would
My, and
need a motion.
I've got it's for another day, I guess, but generally speaking, in a board meeting, when the committee has more than 2 people that are on the board that have met, they're the ones that went through this whole thing, and by them coming to a consensus, they are bringing the motion, in fact, bringing it here, because somebody else on this committee to make a motion right now with the limited information that we have is difficult. I wouldn't want to make a motion when I don't even really understand what they talked about at that meeting.
We had a good 45 minutes of discussion about this, so,
Peggy, is there anything illegal about a committee member making a motion?
yeah.
As far as we've got, what we typically do is a person on the committee does not make the initial motion, but can make the second.
Makes a second.
And in the normal Robert's Rules of Order, a committee, by bringing it to the group, that is the first. And if there's more than 2 members on it, that's the second also. So we could go right into the discussion then. That's typical in Robert's Rules of Order. The school apparently does things differently. But
What's the recommendation of the committee?
Not to check into this any further.
We make a motion
which I
to
don't
accept the
understand.
recommendation of the committee.
That we're not going to do any further research, we're going to leave it as we have it right now.
Which is no credit.
No credit, right.
Now you need a second from, it could be from the committee.
I need a second, and then we can have some discussion if someone needs more.
Who made the motion? Mike did, okay.
I'll second. Okay, discussion?
Yep.
Yes.
So this was brought to me initially, which is how I think it got to the curriculum committees. And I guess I sat through most of it before I had to assign stuff. But, for as much as I agree with most everything that was said, I don't necessarily think more value should be placed on one than another. I think the comment was made that their graduation requirements are 1.5 credits. That was said. But in 2011, DPI deemed that this was something that was an avenue for school districts and students to be able to use, to be able to substitute a half
Pardon me,
credit.
it's not DPI, it was the state
Oh.
legislature.
Okay,
DPI brought 13 issues forward going, whoa, if you are gonna go with what the legislature may allow you to do, you better be thinking about this.
Yep.
well, because when I looked up that statute, 105,
Which is the state legislature.
it was signed by Tony Evers, who was state superintendent at the time.
And he's stating that that was because legislature is now given that authority away. So he would have had to sign saying this is what the state legislature is.
Okay. I know it was also discussed, I think Mr. Carlson said there was 5 districts within our conference that currently use it, and one of them had, and you can correct me here, but like, special circumstances where you could utilize that.
My understanding is one of those districts specified that the only time they would allow substituting half credit for PE would be if there's absolutely no way for a student to get all the courses that they want.
That they wanted to get.
Right.
So is it fair to say that, and I guess I'm just asking a question, hold on. Is it fair to say that if a 8th grader coming into their freshman year had a specific path that they wanted to reach by the time they wanted to graduate? Meaning they had a fair amount of AP classes, they were both gonna participate in choir and band and wanting to catch a fair amount of the other electives, that you could make sure that that happened?
It's to that and just
Yeah, I guess I was looking at.
that I do have kids, and, you know, that will come in and ask me for a 4-year plan, and, we can make a 4-year plan with what we have, what we know
At the time,
At that time,
right?
most likely I can predict where things will be offered and when, because a lot of the AP type things are always offered in the same block during the same semester, so we can plot that out. So yes, I would say that we can do that, and that I have done that.
So, 'cause one of the things that was brought to my attention from one of the people that brought it to me was that if they had a student that both participated in both band and choir, that eliminated some of the potential for the use of a skinny in that place, because those are your skinny times, right, between lunch. So if you're in band and choir, you're essentially using up both of your skinnies, and then that, and I didn't know, but earlier Mr. Janico said that there are full semester courses for gym or Phi Ed, but that half only takes a quarter, and all of those AP classes are essentially 2 quarters.
So we offer, during the 3rd block, you can take a block class or skinnies, which is a class typically like band or choir that can run the full year. So we offer 2 skinny Phi classes first semester and 2 block Phi classes second semester, so that's third block. I don't know if you guys are aware of it, but Mr. Janico teaches an overload every year, so we have to be offered every block all year long. He doesn't ever have a regular schedule, so we offer a lot of, we offer as much Phi Ed as we physically can at high school. Because there is a lot of interest in it, and it's a requirement, and a lot of kids want Phi Ed, they like to move during the day. But, so as far as the skinny thing goes, if you're in band or choir for 4 years, those are your skinnies all year for your whole high school career, but they have, first, second, and 4th block to choose their other electives. And there are ways, like when I know, if a student comes to me and says, I really wanna get into AP chemistry, there are things we can do to advance them to be able to get into some of those things as a junior, which creates some more flexibility senior year. Mark and Katie are kind of nodding, because I know this is another link, it's a language that not everyone speaks about scheduling, but they're, if you plan carefully, there are ways to make sure everyone can get what they want. Sometimes that's like getting into chemistry earlier so they can get into taking some of the advanced classes earlier. And if Mr. Carlson and I make, work with kids and if we need to be creative, we can.
Is there the ability to be creative if freshmen and sophomore year they aren't quite sure what they're wanting to do particularly, and halfway through their sophomore year they decide, I really want to focus on English credits or chemistry credits or math credits, to be able to get those AP or those advanced classes in those? Is there still time to be able to do that, even though they didn't necessarily plan that their freshman and sophomore year?
Yeah, like an example of that would be I've had 2 or 3 kids come to me this year and say that they'd really like to take the advanced English 10 instead of the regular one. And so sometimes that means making schedule changes, which we're willing to do as long as it's possible, which it was for all of them. Because sometimes they hear about something or they learn about something new that they didn't know, kids are always changing their mind because they're learning and they're exploring new things and they have ideas or they hear something from a friend. So that's a lot. They do a lot of schedule changing for kids as they find their way and decide what they want to try.
We were always told in school, if we don't understand something, to ask the question, and the odds are there's somebody else in the place that doesn't either. So I'm gonna hope that there's somebody else that doesn't, understand like me. When we talk about we're not gonna dig into it anymore, can you expound on it just a little bit? You had 45 minutes and I know, it's hard to.
Yeah, well, there was like, how many questions here that we had to consider, or the staff would have to consider.
Right, you got a copy of that as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
From 1 to 13, and there again, it says, what will be lost for students as a result of decreasing physical education requirements? Physical education helps students learn knowledge and skills that apply to many lifetime activities and often misses from participating in specific sports. For more information, there again, there's more questions that our staff would have to figure out. What activities would be a physical activity, and what if they don't complete their, say, activity with a particular sports, if they get hurt, how much activity is needed for that, and then create criteria that has to be, and then there's breaking a code of conduct. There's a lot more things that would have to be checked on into. I know when I went to school here, we had way more FIAT classes that were required, and I think it's minimal for what we're saying that our students have to complete, and I think we should keep what it is.
So in summary, I think the majority of us came in thinking this would be a no-brainer, like of course we would allow that, but then once we start talking and discussing and hearing, there was all sorts of domino effects.
Right.
What about this, what about this, what about this?
So you're basically saying leave the physical education requirement.
As is,
As
yeah.
is.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other discussion or questions? If not, I did have a motion and a second. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson? Motion carries.
Your treasurer's report.
It's probably there.
Yeah, you then vote opposed.
I did.
Okay, I missed that. So it was 2 of you for opposed, right?
Mike and I said nay.
Okay.
That is correct.
That's a little confusing when you make the motion.
I know.
I think I did that last year or the year before. I don't know.
There's precedent.
That's fine. I just want to make sure that we heard it right. Okay. We're going to move that into the administrative reports and start with, I'll let you go first for communications.
Communications, then I'll let you go second. All right, This is an additional communication, just came up today. In order to keep all staff, students, and family members safe this holiday season, and the chance that the weather may be challenging Wednesday through Friday, the NES Christmas concert has been moved to Monday, December 19th. The performances will be held in the same order, with kindergarten through second grade starting at 9:30 and third through fifth grade starting at 1:30. Doors will open 30 minutes prior to each performance.
And then I wanted to make an announcement that the posting for the superintendent position is out and that we are currently going through as a board the hiring process with CISA. And there will be an opportunity for staff and public input. To be sure that that was.
Can I make a clarification on that? Because I was asked over the weekend by somebody not in our district that their understanding was that we hired CISA to hire a superintendent on our behalf, and which is not the case.
Not true.
We hired CISA to help facilitate locating a superintendent for us to be able to interview to make the final hire. They are not hiring.
That's a
on
good
our behalf.
clarification. That's a
Very
good
good
clarification. Yeah, they will be facilitating. We will of course be making a decision, but we will have them do kind of the
Helping us through the process.
the process. Ready for communications? So,
We did have, the 102nd State Education Convention is under communications,
Okay.
The 17th through the 20th, and maintenance report. Mr. Fetchcotter.
Basic maintenance stuff is going on right now. A lot of the boiler inspections and kind of fine tuning have occurred over the last month because they're being used. So, that's
kind of done, isn't
theme.
You made it.
The boiler here is done, is it not?
Boiler here is not done yet. The boiler is here. It is physically in the boiler room, but we're waiting for some parts to finalize. So I'm hopeful this week we'll fire one boiler, and I'll feel a lot better when we have two, because we've been running without a backup. Thankfully, it's been fairly warm relative to this time of year for us. So my hope is that we're doubled up by the end of this week. That's all. I can't guarantee that.
Still good question. Donations. Amanda Corhonen donated stained glass sheets to the Northwestern High School Art Department. It's estimated that approximately $2,500 to $3,000 of stained glass panels and pieces were donated.
ready for donations? All right, then we will hear from Mrs. Olson for the WASB and legislative correspondence.
The only thing I have is the Wisconsin Public School Libraries will receive a record $52 million from the state's Common School Fund for the 22-23 school year. This is a 27% increase from the 21-22 distribution.
Wow. All right, Mr. Blahnik for the CISA 12 report.
Okay, CISA 12 is conducting superintendent search for Northwestern Phillips School District and is working with CISA 5 to conduct a search for their new CISA 10 administrator. CISA 12 will be renewing their annual school board retreat, which is scheduled for May 4th, 2023, a dinner and program. I guess they used to do that in the past. They're going to do it again. Okay.
What's the date on that again?
May 4th.
Okay.
More info to come soon. The main topic will be board governance presented by the WASP. There was a report by Amanda Trott, talked about support to new educators in their first 1 through 3 years of experience, available through the peer review mentor grant from EPI. And they go over support, coaching and networking for new teachers, training and support for mentors and new teachers. CISA 12 follows a model of providing support for teachers in their first 3 years. And then the building update for the new building over there. Their most recent offer did not go through as intended. They've looked at a few more buildings, but they're smaller than what they need. Still working.
They're really struggling with that, aren't they?
Do they have to be in Ashland? Or are they looking outside of Ashland?
I don't know, I guess I don't know. I don't know if they have.
It's kind of a centralized,
That's what I was
where,
thinking.
centralized location for where the school districts are. We have 17 school districts, in the CISA 12, so majority of them are out that way. So Superior would be the furthest one and going east. So looking for that vicinity. I thought we had something earlier.
It fell through, I guess.
My goodness.
Okay, we have reports in our packets from Northwestern High School, Middle School, Northwestern Elementary, Iron River Elementary, the athletic and activities, as well as special education. And and school counselors, and we will now hear from our student representatives.
2 weeks ago, wrestling was in West Salem, where they went 3-2, taking third. And this last weekend we wrestled in Wisconsin Dells. So our current record is 6-4. We're going to be going to River Falls over holiday break, and we will have a try on December 20th in Cumberland. These matches have been a great experience for our wrestlers. Oh, and DECA was in Milwaukee for the Central Region's Leadership Conference over this last weekend. They had a great experience listening to several speakers and had a fantastic time preparing for their leader competitions.
Girls basketball lost to Amory and St. Croix Falls, but they were both two close games. They won against Ladysmith, which is really huge for us because we did not beat them in 2 years. They have 3 games this week. On Tuesday, they are going to Spooner. Friday, Ashland is going to be here. And on Saturday, they are playing the Superior Girls, which is a non-conference match here as well. Tyron Plash is officially Northwestern's leading scorer with 1,263 points currently, just at the beginning of the season, beating the previous record of 1,257 points set by Jody Peterson in the 90s, I believe.
Boys basketball is currently 3-0, beating St. Croix Falls, Hayward, and Ladysmith. And they have a tough non-conference game this week against Superior, and will be playing St. Croix Central. Both basketball teams have a holiday tournament in West Salem over break. The dance team had a competition in Eau Claire, which went well for them, and are currently preparing for their competitions in January.
And they're also at all of the basketball games doing their dance to the school song, which is really nice. We have a lot of co-op sport athletes this week. So we have 1 in boys hockey with Ashland, 3 gymnasts with Superior Gymnastics, 2 girls hockey with Superior, and 2 boys swim for Superior. And from what I've heard, they've all been doing very well, and they're enjoying that. We have a choir concert tonight at 6 o'clock for the middle schoolers and 7:30 for the high schoolers. They're still selling those quick trip cards. And the high school is planning on doing their annual tour of the schools the day before break starts. And they are also visiting Villa Marina, which is a nursing home in Superior, which I know all of the elders very much enjoy seeing new faces.
Band has been going really well. Just before Thanksgiving break, we had the Christmas City of the North Parade, which sadly all the instruments froze, so we ended up singing for that one instead. We had a jazz band concert last Monday, which went very well, featuring soloists and duets, as well as the jazz band. And they have another concert on the 19th. There we go. Musical, the cast list for our musical this year, Legally Blonde, is out and is set for February.
They start practices, they're doing a read-through starting Wednesday, and then they have practices starting next week. And then Student Council is officially doing our toy drive this year for KIN, which is Kids in Need. We help kids in the area school district who are less fortunate to make sure they have gifts under their tree. And then so you'll see a big box in the comments and all of the gifts that are in there we are planning to drop off at St. Anthony's on Wednesday in Lake Embankment. And then National Honor Society this year, I am very happy to say that we adopted 3 kids. So we went shopping for those on Saturday, getting a bunch of gifts that we are going to wrap tomorrow. And we are also have been doing 50-50 raffles during the basketball games, and we are planning on donating that money to KIN as well. We're trying to become more community focused this year, and it is doing amazingly, and I'm very happy. We are also have Mrs. Thompson, who is our advisor, applied for a grant through Essentia Health, and we officially have sanitary products in the girls' bathrooms for the 2022-2023 school year. I have talked to multiple people, and people have come up to me saying how happy they are and how this is a great thing to have in place in case of emergencies and how it is essential, and that they are very, very happy with the decision that the National Honor Society was a part of. And that is it.
All right. Wow, lots of information. Thank you.
Question, Mark, are the wrestlers, do you know offhand the wrestling home schedule at all?
I don't believe we have a home wrestling match until January. I want to say that our first one is against Hayward. I'm not certain.
I can look at the calendar.
I think there's a handful though this year that are at home.
Yeah, we'll have the Super Bowls at home. We'll have, I think, 2 meets at home. Other than that, I know that we go to Superior for one of them as well.
Okay.
For a tournament. Thanks.
Thank you.
Student, staff, and community recognition. Northwestern High School's One Act Play, Paper or Plastic received the Critics' Choice Award at the Wisconsin State One Act Play Contest, held as part of the Wisconsin Interscholastic Theater Festival on November 17th through the 19th. Additionally, the production earned an Ensemble Award and Technical Theater Award. Ella Kane, grade 12, earned an Outstanding Acting Award as Cracked Egg Woman.
It was funny. Yes.
That way at Humpty Dumpty or something?
Not sure.
She had a fun time with that role.
Did she?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that role was molded after me or something. at the grocery store. Computer pain. Okay, whatever. All right, comments from the audience. The comments from the public agenda item is not the forum for school district of Maple personnel concerns. The public needs to refrain from the use of names or specific positions when used in a negative manner. If you have concerns that involve personnel or staff members, please contact the building principal or the superintendent. Do we have any comments tonight?
Cindy here.
Awful quiet out there. A birthday?
Oh, I can talk about that.
Oh.
I am also
Listen, it's
pleased
not
to
going well.
announce that our very own Mark Jarman has received a nomination for the Naval Academy in Maryland. He has also received what some call the Unicorn Award, that is for Naval ROTC.
Yeah, it's specifically for option.
Yes, so it specifically, it helps pay for a
Uh,
lot. And they call it the Unicorn Award because people rarely get it. So it's very, very nice that somebody from our school was recognized for that.
Forgot to mention that. Very humble, very humble.
I don't know if there's any, we've had that before.
No, I don't recall.
The Unicorn Award was, from my knowledge, was one past student. Teddy, but the nomination for the Naval Academy, I do not know of anybody else.
Nathan Marcotte.
Okay, well, Nathan.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Okay, any other comments? Right, then if not, I need a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion that we adjourn.
Second? Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Meeting's adjourned. Head out to the concert.
Yeah.